today's Starseed Healing Circle. Here we go again, another month. So today we are doing a reading again to see what the energies are going to be like for the coming month. So let's start with our tune-in. Whoops, jumping ahead over there. Today we are tuning in with the Lightcode Activation for Archangel Michael. So close your eyes, just take a nice slow deep breath in and out, and just tune into what it is that you would like to work with today. What would you like to receive? Or is there a specific question that you may have? And just find that point of stillness with information in your mind and in your body. And when you are ready, open your eyes and allow your eyes to trace the light code, or perhaps just rest on a spot where it feels your eyes want to rest. I usually like to trace the light code from one direction to another and then just reverse the direction. So I'm tracing it like a labyrinth for the eyes. No need to understand or interpret or translate. This is just for us to all tune in to the same energy and frequency as a group, while we are also putting in our own personal information into this mix. You can stay here as long as you need to. So in today's session, we are doing a reading. I'm using the Book of Doors again as our reading tool. I usually douse to see what I need to do. So the Book of Doors came up again. So we'll use this as our compass for the month ahead, so that we know what energies to expect and also how to navigate the terrain. If you are in the Adept or the Master or the Phoenix levels or the Seeker levels, then you will also be doing healing work and coaching work. There will be an attunement or an activation specific to the energy that we are picking up today. So today's information we're going to carry through in next week's healing practice. Next week, the week after that's attunement, and then the week after that we do the coaching session. So it's nice if you can do all of these different levels, but perhaps you just have your reading a month and that's good for you. So let's see what comes up in our session. Right, so I have already dowsed and worked with the cards. So as I mentioned before, with the Book of Doors, we work with a die, throw the die, and that gives us the card that we are working with. Again, the spread or the layout that we use is the pyramid spread. So the top tier or top layer is the spiritual level or our guiding light. The second level down with the 2 cards is our mental level. The 3 cards is the emotional level, and the 4 cards is the physical level. And then we're going to be working through each of these and just getting a reading on this. Now, there's something that I always look for when I'm doing if I'm doing a reading for a person. There's certain patterns I always look for, and every time I do one of these readings for the group, I forget to actually mention those things. I do check it beforehand, but I forget to mention it. So this time I thought I'd make some notes around it so that we don't forget to actually look at this. So one thing I noticed here is that there's quite a bit of repetition in numbers. So 8 is very prominent. It comes up 3 times in today's reading. 4 is prominent. This also comes up 3 times in today's reading. And 3 is very prominent as well. This comes up 3 times in a reading. So 8 is about infinity, eternity. It's sort of that cycle that goes. 8 is also about like accomplishments, like you almost at the end of a cycle. This is our time to reap rewards. So 8 here is quite a nice one, especially since it's the first card and also our last card. 4 is about stability and structure. So 4 is about laying foundations so that we can get ready, our structure, so that we can get ready to actually start manifesting and working with something. And then 3 is about taking action. So we have reaping rewards, foundations, and action. That's sort of a theme that we see within this. We also have 8 houses within the Book of Doors, and usually I would look at the spread of the different houses. And again, we have 3 repeats here of the house of the moon, of Ah. So the moon energy is in. We have 2 cards from the heaven or pet house, and they happen to sit right next to each other on the emotional level. So that emotional level is actually quite significant because it's a 3 and a 4. There's 2 following numbers and they're quite similar, so that's going to be something worth looking at. And then we've got 2 from the primordial side, so we've got 4 and 8. And so that's also, if we look at number 4, it's got a like an infinity sign in the background, which links in. Another thing I tend to look at, but I tend to look at this a little bit when we get a little bit closer to the cards, is I tend to look at what direction the various characters look into. So if we look at sort of these 2 cards, they are looking at each other, except Gabe is looking down. So from the mental level, Gabe is looking down towards what's happening here in Kheper-Ra. Khnemu is looking in all the different directions. Then if we look at this level, Anpu and Ra, they all look towards Kheper-Ra, or they will all look in this direction. So that's a good flow. And then when we look here on this level, we have the 2 cards on the outsides actually facing in towards the center. So this could also be significant, because usually what this would tell us, the direction that things are flowing or looking, that gives us an indication of how energies will be flowing. So I'm thinking there's going to be some, especially on a physical level, there's going to be a lot of internalization happening this month, but we'll get into that in a second. So let's have a look at the different cards individually and what this is all about. So our first card that we have is Kematef, and Kematef is this eternal serpent that coils through all the portals and doors, and it's eating its own tail. So Kematef is associated with immortality. It could be about something that's been fulfilled, or it could be that the time that we need to spend on something is no longer necessary. So we've almost like we've done something. We've completed this. We've gone through it over and over and over and over again, and we're getting to the point where we go, you know what, we don't need to do this anymore, hopefully. It could also indicate that we are going through a repeating cycle of events. And the sooner you realize that it's a repeating cycle, the sooner you can let it go and you can continue on with something new. So it could be about a renewal of energy. So it could be perhaps that hopefully within today's reading, there's insights, or perhaps there's an aha moment, or you get to see something and you realize, okay, I can see the pattern. So this is our guiding principle. This is sort of what our entire reading is about today. Then coming up to the mental level, Khnemu, Khnemu is about how we used to think, or our thought patterns that influence our past and still influencing our present time. And Geb is how, like a sort of our guidance for the future, how we can use our thoughts. So Khnemu is about creativity. Khnum is the god that created men from mud, or man from mud. So this is one of the creator forces. When we look at the creative side, it's about self-expression, and it's about our execution of ideas or plans or goals and things like that. So it's really about meeting our goals. Because this is in the past, it would indicate that we've done some work, we've done some creative work. We perhaps have moved in a specific direction. We've got some creation that we are creating. If I remember correctly, our previous reading was sitting on that edge of we are creating something new, or we're moving in a new direction. And so it could be that this is sort of a touchdown from where we were before, but now this creation needs to be taken further. So we need to actually move through with that creation. Geb is our future guidance, and this is about materialization, or making your plans a reality. So if we look at Khnum as your sort of your goals and your focus towards your goals and your execution of that, then Geb is saying, let's make this manifest and let's make this real. So if you've had some projects that you started, but they've sort of been fizzling out or hanging, or because perhaps you got distracted, in this month, you're probably going to get to a point where that's going to pick up again and you're going to start working towards those goals again. So this is quite a nice manifestation energy. Then we have our emotional level. Now, the first card that we have here is Anpu. And Anpu is part of the Duat. Duat is the underworld. So this is usually one of the darker cards. But Anpu is your guide, and it's a magical or a spiritual guide to the occult or to the metaphysics. This could be another person, or it could be your higher self, or some spirit guide that you're working with that's guiding you through processes. It could be someone giving advice. It could even be me giving you advice each month or whatever. So however you're going to interpret this, but it's receiving information or guidance from someone else, or a trusted friend, or an energy, or something like that. This is how we've used our energy in the past. So you've had your guide, and now we get to the bridge card, which is where we are right now, and this is Ra. Now Ra is also a creative power, and so we've got Khnum that's sitting on top, that's connecting, and Geb is also a creative energy. Geb gave birth to himself. Khnum also gave birth to himself. Kheper-Ra gave birth to himself. We've actually got quite a bit of creative energies here that's sort of all sitting together where they are self-created. And they're coming together within Ra. So we've got this creative force that we have. And Ra, as you can see, there's two eyes. One is for the moon, one is for the sun. There's two stars. And this is all about getting that dualities right and getting our balance right. And the balance, I think, I think I saw balance somewhere else within our reading. I'm sure it'll come out in a second. And Ra is also about overcoming obstacles. And what you'll see is Anpu and Ra are both looking towards Kheper-Ra. So both of them are moving in the direction of change, which is a really good thing to have here. They're all moving in the right direction here. Kheper-Ra is also a creative force. And this is about transformation or changing of a situation, or perhaps also perhaps I would say renewal of energies. Like I mentioned before with Khnum, it may be that you've had some project that sort of fizzled out. Geb is saying let's go manifest that, and Kheper-Ra is saying let's transform or renew the energy around that so that we can pull this through. So there's definitely going to be some push towards action again within this month, I think. Okay, let's look at the next line. So this is going to be your physical level. Here we have our first card is our past actions, and this is Hehut. Hehut is telling us that there's a way to transcend our time limitations. So you'll see that we've got the infinity snake in the background, and so she goes beyond time. Her male counterpart is Hehut, which means eternity. Hehut is saying we can move move beyond those limitations of time. So there's also a transformation and a evolution, or a like a flow of energy as we are moving here. With the primordial gods specifically or especially, the females usually have snake heads, and the males have frog heads. Now here's an interesting one where we've got Kerhet that actually has a frog head, and so she's a female primordial with a frog head. So there's a energy here of a male female, whereas if you look at the other side, Hehut, she has the serpent head like the other primordial goddesses. But Kerhet, which is our next one, has the frog head, so she's got a male quality to her as well. And we've got the serpents coiling at the bottom. She's standing on water, so there's a lot of female feminine energy here, intuitive energy. And when we've got Kerhet, this shows us that there's some form of transmission of information, or perhaps some initiation. Now this is in the past. We've got Hehut and Kerhet sitting in the past. So in the past, we have moved beyond those limitations of time and space. We've come to the place where there's been an initiation of sorts, or an energetic shift in things, which then leads us through to Amsu. Now Amsu and Kerhet is actually looking at each other. So, and you'll see also that Ausar on the end is also looking in towards the center. So the two forces of past and future are coming together in the now where we are, and actually I don't want to say collide, but moving the energies in to where we are right now, perhaps into Ra, into this central point. So Amsu is about Amsu is one of the male fertility gods. So it could be about sexual pleasure, but it doesn't really quite fit in with the rest of the reading. So I would read it more as rejuvenation, or initiation. Amsu is also standing on the water, same as Kerhet. Whenever we see water in the Book of Doors, it indicates intuition or energies like that. But behind Amsu, there is the doors that goes off into infinity. So this is that there's definitely an initiation here of sorts. But I would say that there's a rejuvenation of energy. And if we look at the cards that sits above it, there's a lot of creative energies that are coming through. So that's something that we definitely wanted to look at. And then Ausar, he is the god of the underworld. So this is about death and resurrection. This is our future card. He is looking in. So I'm looking at everything sort of colliding here where we are right now. Osiris is also similar to Amsu, an energy of initiation and but it's slightly different energy. Whereas Amsu is really about let's get you initiated, let's rejuvenate the energies. And in a way, Ausar has that as well, because obviously he's been it's about resurrection and sort of coming to life again and again and again. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think that with Ausar it would be a little bit more about letting go of attachments, because we've got this whole process. I'm just going to skip ahead, or it's not skip ahead, skip back a little bit. So we go look at all of the cards. Let's go back to number 1. So with Ausar, there is a death and rebirth story that's happening. When we die, we obviously can't take any of our material possessions with us. We can take our experiences with us, so that we can keep with us. So there's a similar thing here. Even we've got a lot of creative energy. On the mental level, we are creating. On the emotional level, we are creating. But what we will need to do, if we're looking at the guidance of Geb and Kheper-Ra, both of them are saying that we need to manifest these. We need to bring these into manifestation. Amsu is giving us that drive to move towards the rejuvenation of energy. But Ausar is saying, even though we are regenerating and rejuvenating, and we are manifesting in Kheper-Ra and in Geb, we want to let go of any attachments. So this is going to be I don't want to say a tough one, it's going to be an interesting one. Because if you were working on a project, usually there's some reason behind why you're working on the project. And many of us are working on projects because we're hoping that it's going to bring us an income, or it's going to give us something, or it's going to give us some result or something, right? And so now Ausar is saying, yes, manifest, work on these things, but let go of attachment. So this is going to be an interesting month, I think. I think there's going to be definitely more action. There's going to be some laying of groundwork and getting ready for what's happening in the month after. And there's going to be some creative forces going around. So this is I would say this is quite nice, what we have here. I think it's quite a nice setup of cards. I like to also just look at what we can do for homework. So instead of just leaving you hanging, I've drawn another card so that we can do a bit of homework as well. So let's go grab that card. So our card that comes up for homework, and I'm just using the soul plan cards, is 12-3. 12-3 is our card about love and creation and balance. So this is where our balance fits in, that I talked about earlier, where I said, remember that we're looking here at balance. Our 12-3 is about balance. 12-3 is about expansion. So we're definitely moving into an energy or a space where the energy is expanding. Just remember, as we are collecting information, you want to share it with others as well. So find a way that whatever you've learned, that you can share it in some way, shape, or form. The 12 is about a bridge. It's about bridging between what was, what will be. And so we're moving towards that. Very intuitive energy. It could be about writing, hearing or listening, speaking, singing, painting, acting, whatever. There's a lot of creative energies around the 12-3. So definitely look into things like that. I'm going to read you the affirmation for the 12-3. All my desires are balanced. I have passion and I feel good about myself. All my desires are balanced. I have passion and I feel good about myself. All my desires are balanced. I have passion and I feel good about myself. So work with that affirmation. With the 12-3, what you want to do, what you want to bring in this coming month is balance. This is about any like overall balance. This is physical and spiritual balance. Balance your energy so that you do not have excess or excessive behavior. 12-3 can sometimes be about sort of being a little bit OCD. Balance that out so that you don't get too OCD about something. Any book that's going to bring you into the here and now. So like there's a Ram Dass book called Be Here Now, or Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I must admit I haven't read either of the two of those, but those are really good books to fit into that. What I have read and what I could highly recommend, because 12-3 is very much about alchemy, is the book called The Emerald Tablet, The Alchemy for Personal Transformation by Dennis William Hauck. Fantastic book. It is quite a tough read. It's not an easy read. It's going to definitely keep you busy for a long time. But yeah, that's well worth the read. Yeah, take some breaks, set some time aside for doing fun things and relaxation and things. That's all part of 12-3 as well. And then what I'll do is I will give you a list of crystals that you can use as support in this month. So that concludes our reading for today, and I hope that that helps you to prepare for this month ahead. And I will see you in our next session. I'm sending you so much love and light. Take care.